Hey fam, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Just doing a mic check. Can't post 7 destinations, learn more. What? So apparently, I guess if you're doing a live, you can't see comments from Twitter. Why? Why? Explain. Okay? So hello, my loves. I let the YouTube members know that I was doing a live today, even though I don't usually do one on Fridays because of the fact that I couldn't do one yesterday. See, that's why I didn't set up a specific, this is when I'm going to do them, because my schedule keeps changing. And I don't want to say it's going to be these 2 days and then have to like change it. So I would eventually like it to be either Mondays and Thursdays or Tuesdays and Thursdays, but I can't do that until like I'm not traveling so much. Like I was traveling a lot recently. I'm going to be traveling again in August. In September, I'm going to keep it. Hey, Fuwa-chan. And then I would say probably in September is when I'm going to make it like either Monday and Thursdays or Tuesday and Thursdays. Yeah, I would say the fall, okay? Like the fall. So right now, I'm not going to do that because, like I said, I'm still traveling. I will be traveling in August. But starting in the fall in September, I'm going to try to make it like even days, like Monday and Thursday or Tuesday and Thursday, depending. So I hope you guys are well. So this isn't really specific to my YouTube fam just because you guys aren't Blue Anon or Blue MAGA. But like, OMG, this doesn't actually really happen on TikTok either. It really mostly happens on Twitter, on X. And that's Blue Anon and Blue MAGA coming out, screaming and crying and whining and freaking out because they're upset that we're pointing out that Joe Biden is senile. Okay? It's you guys, I can't. I really can't. Like, it's so dark that people are getting mad that we're pointing out that Joe Biden is senile. In fact, I just saw a clip from Ben Shapiro from his show today where he was talking about how it is the best. Last night, his press conference was the best possible thing that could have happened to Trump and his campaign. That the best possible thing that could happen to Trump and his campaign going forward is that Biden stays in. Because if Biden leaves, it's likely any Democrat that replaces him would win. But I know the videos of Biden, they're so embarrassing. Even a small yeah, exactly. Because the thing is that there are a lot of Republicans, like I was saying, like Ben Shapiro today on his show, being like, the best thing that could happen for Trump is that Biden stays in. Because they understand, and that's why Trump is being quiet, that they're going to have a lot harder of a time winning against even a generic Democrat, against even like Gretchen Whitmer, which they would never pick Gretchen Whitmer. And I'll tell you why they wouldn't pick Gretchen Whitmer, because she's a white woman. They're not going to pick a white woman to replace a black woman. Are you kidding me? That would be the biggest epic meltdown in the Democratic Party since yesterday. So that wouldn't happen. They would probably replace her, if they did, with a man. And the whole thing is a hot mess. But honestly, even at this point, I think that Kamala Harris could win. I don't know by how much. I don't know how much she would beat Trump by, but I do think that she could probably beat Trump. Because at this point, Biden's not beating him. But, Democrats are in denial, full-scale denial. Full Blue Anon, full Blue MAGA, denying polls, denying that we saw things we saw. Here's the thing. Democrats are garbage, okay? Absolute garbage. And I say this as somebody who usually votes for Democratic candidates. They are trash. They have no respect for you, okay? Are you a Democratic voter? Do you vote Democrat? As do I. They think you're morons. and they have absolutely no respect for you. And I really hope that everybody remembers this. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen because the American people have the memory of a fucking goldfish. But I do hope that people do remember what they have done and the lies from the media, the endless gaslighting from the media, lying from the media, from the Democratic establishment, from the Democratic Party, from Biden's cabinet. They're all endless gaslighters and liars who have no respect for their voters. So I'm just really hoping, at the very least, that people remember that. So anyway, I want to make sure that some of my besties on here can actually see. I don't know. Can you guys see? Are you guys like, I just want to do like a mic check. What just happened? I don't know what just happened. Sorry. I'm kind of like out of it too. Because yeah, like where are my besties on here? Hey, Baba Khan. Yeah, I'm looking for O'Day. Where's O'Day? Yeah, so anyway, oh man. Can you who are all these people who are still in love with Biden? He almost didn't pass the primaries. No, I know, you're right. He didn't. And they all want to deny that. Even though they literally admit it, okay? They admit that Biden was going to lose. It wasn't until the Democratic elites stepped in and got all of the other Democratic candidates to drop out of the race and coalesce around Biden by promising them things. Like, that's why Pete Buttigieg got the cabinet position he did. The problem is that we don't have a real opposition party. I honestly, and this, I guess I'll get into my little conspiracy theories right now, but I don't think that Democrats mind losing. I really don't. You see it over and over and over again, times that they should be oppositional to the GOP and they're not. It's like they don't care. It's like they're fine with the GOP being in power because they make a lot of money fundraising when the GOP is in power. They make a ton of money. And they still all have their jobs, you know? None of those people that work for the Democratic establishment are going to lose their job. You think Jamie Harrison, who when he's not just like lying for the Democratic establishment, he's lobbying on behalf of Lockheed Martin and Bank of America and wherever else he's selling out to, you think he's not going to be okay? If Trump wins, he'll be fine. He'll still have, he's not going to lose his job because in media and in our really like embarrassing, like DC culture, politics, media, people fail up. No one gets punished or there's no consequences for being a loser. You just fail up. So like when a Democrat loses, they should go away, right? Like if they lose, they should fuck off, but they don't. So Jamie Harrison will keep his job at the DNC. I mean, Hillary Clinton is just such a perfect example of that. Why are you here? Why are you here? No one wants to hear from you. You're a loser. You lost to Donald Trump. Go away. But yet, she's still giving people advice on how to win. You got Claire McCaskill, who got hired by MSNBC to give advice on how to win elections after she lost to a white nationalist. Claire McCaskill lost to the fist in the air guy. I'm forgetting his name right now. That insurrectionist guy. She lost. We should never hear from her again. And yet she's on MSNBC giving advice on how to win elections. Like, be so fucking for real. It's amazing. They all just become lobbyists, and then they go in and out of Democratic politics. Like, I saw Andrew Cuomo giving his 2 cents on the election of Jamal Bowman. I'm sorry. Why are you here? Go away. We need to bring back going away when you lose. And again, we don't have an opposition party, folks. Okay? In order to actually beat back the fascist right wing, you need a real opposition party, which we do not have. We have Democrats that are like controlled opposition, fake opposition. They want to dress up as handmaids from The Handmaid's Tale and wring their hands, but not actually do anything about protecting women and people who can get pregnant's rights. They don't actually want to do anything. They want to hand wring about the fact that people can't afford housing in this country. People can't afford it. And you know what their solution is? Oh, right, nothing, except for Biden floated giving a $10,000 credit to people for the first house that they buy, which is peak neoliberalism. Peak neoliberalism. Houses are like over $1 million now in the country. Private equity goons are buying up whole ass residential like neighborhoods and becoming permanent landlords. And the Democrats' response to that is, hey, let's put a wound and throw them $10,000 to maybe put toward the house they can't afford because the house is like $900,000. That's the Democrats in a nutshell. Losers, controlled opposition, fake opposition, hand wringers that would rather have a Republican or a fascist in power than to have somebody who might actually do something. That's why, where was that? Let me share this with you guys. This is insanely embarrassing. Like, insanely embarrassing tweet. Oh, no, I can't share with you guys because I can't remember whose channel I saw it on. Yeah, AIPAC. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter if they lose their elections because they're still going to make money. Like, when are people going to learn that they don't care about you? They actually hate you. It's not just that Democrats don't care about you. It's that they actually hate you. They have contempt for you. More people need to start understanding that. Yeah, that's another great example, Seth, of how disgusting and useless the Democrats are. After that SCOTUS ruling came out, Biden should have come out swinging. He should have come out immediately like, we're going to do something about this. We're going to at least pretend, right? Even if you're not going to do anything about it, like pretend like you're going to do something about it. You know, he didn't even pretend, okay? He didn't even pretend like he was going to do something about it. He was like, hey, and Sotomayor said, I just sent Jack. Like, that was it. That was it. He should have come out and been like, hey, if presidents are above the law, this is what I'm going to do. Okay? He should have come out with a little bit of that. Yeah, with instead of the I'm better than that, when they go low, we go high. Okay? That bullshit. What he should have done is he should have come out and been like, they want to play games? They want to say that presidents are above the law and have full immunity. First of all, GOP, you can shut down your little impeachment puppet show. And second of all, it's time for court expansion. It's time for court expansion. And while we're at it, I'm going to do what FDR threatened, and I'm going to make it so that if you're over a certain age, let's say 65, you count as one vote on the Supreme Court. One vote if you're over 65. And then call to impeach the corrupt criminals on the Supreme Court. He could have done any of that. He could have done any of that. He didn't do anything. He didn't even pretend. But no. Nothing to see here, according to Blue Anon. Nothing to see here. It's just like, what do you do? What do you do when these are the people that you are dealing with? This is why we need to have more parties. Like, this is out of control. The Democrats shouldn't even be in the same party as people on the left. And then you have people like AOC walking around in that embarrassing picture, leading grandpa around like it's visiting angels or some shit. And being like, hold on, I gotta find that. X. Yeah, and then Joe Biden is bragging about how he has a higher approval rating in Israel than he does here. That's not a flex, bro. This was right after he got done being like, Israel has the most right-wing government they've ever had. Like, right after. He's like, yeah, this is the most right-wing government Israel's ever had in their history. And by the way, my approval rating's really high there. Oh my gosh. And honestly, I just don't, it's kind of like how you get tired of the right doing the communist routine. Everything I don't like is communism. We live in the Red Scare in the 1950s and they never move on from it. Like, anything, they call everything communism. Like, that's what I'm really, that's the right wing, okay? And then you have the Zionists, where everything I don't like is Hamas. Everything and anybody that disagrees with me, including anti-Zionist Jews, everyone's Hamas. And then you have Blue Anon, where anything and everything they don't like is but Trump. Or Russian asset. Like, they're trying to actually bring the Russian asset back thing, which I find amazing. Actually incredible. Actually incredible. Because how are you going to do the Russia's trying to interfere in our elections routine when you have AIPAC openly bragging about how they buy ours? How? Explain. Explain. What's wrong with the Democrats? Why don't they change the president? Honestly, I don't exactly know why they're not fighting harder to do that. I think some of them are fine with losing. I think some of them would be happy to see Trump win another election. And I think that some are just cowards. I just lost my train of thought. I don't even remember what I was going to look at. Where is that photo? It's so cringe. Okay, I don't know where the picture is, but
that he is in this race. The matter was spoken with him extensively. He made clear then, and he has made clear since, that he is in this race. The matter is closed. He had reiterated that this morning. He has reiterated that to the public. Joe Biden is our nominee. He is not leaving this race. He is in this race, and I support him. Now, what I think is critically important right now is that we focus on what it takes to win in November.
If you were really focused on what it takes to win in November, you would not be supporting Joe Biden. Let me say that again. If you actually were concerned about what it takes to win in November, you would not be running Joe Biden. I don't know what part of he's gonna lose they don't understand. Like, do you guys not read polls? Oh, I forgot. According to Joe Biden, fake polls. Polls are fake, Jack. Like, the same shit that they criticized Trump for. Polls are fake. And then on top of that, what we have to win in November. All of the polls are showing him losing. Do you not understand? They're all showing him losing. If you really wanted to focus on how to win, you would force him out. You would force him out. I am not in the mood. You know what? I guess I'm just having a day because I am so tired of all their gaslighting. It's exhausting. All of their gaslighting. All of their gaslighting. Someone wrote, Kamala and Bernie would give us a shot. That's true. That would be a landslide. That would be an absolute landslide. I don't care what anybody says, because all the K-Hive crazies who were so angry about Bernie would vote because their queen was on the ticket, and all the people who supported Bernie would vote despite how they feel about each other. It would be a landslide. Yeah. So again, if they actually cared, they don't care about Trump winning, because if they actually cared, they would look at the polls and they would see that Biden is losing and they would force him out. What is best for the country? You guys remember when we were going over his interview with George Stephanopoulos? And he said, George Stephanopoulos said, well, what are you going to do? How are you going to feel if Joe Biden loses? If he loses? And everything that you say that Trump was going to do happens. What are you going to do? And you know what he said? Well, I know I'll have given it my best shot, and that's what this is about. No, that's not what this is about. This isn't about you and your self-actualization. This isn't about you and your ego. This isn't about you and your legacy. This is supposed to be about the country. They're such narcissists. They're such narcissists. Well, I'll be okay because I'll know that I gave it my best. There's no participation trophy for running for president, bro. You either win or you lose. You either win or you lose. This is not about you. And if Joe Biden actually gave a shit about the country, and if AOC was actually interested in winning, they would force him out. But they're not. And you have to ask yourself why. AOC, what a fraud she turned out to be. What a disappointment. No, I'm not going to bother trying to find that old clip of her, the old clip of her talking about how it would be worth losing as long as you were fighting for what was important. What makes me so annoyed is that I was like so excited when AOC won back in 2018. I was really excited. They just turned out to be such frauds, such careerists. Like, your career is so much more important when you claimed that this was about fighting for the working class, fighting for people. And so many people were so excited about her on the left, and she just turned out to be such a fraud, such a careerist and an opportunist. She is the reason why people on the left don't vote. People on the left already have a hard time believing in the democratic process and that voting is worth their time because the system is so corrupt. And she is the reason why people don't vote on the left, why people don't have faith in the system. Because every time somebody gets their hopes up and puts their faith in someone, and this applies to Bernie Sanders too, because I know there are a bunch of geeks right now on Twitter trying to make this about how, you know, it's just because she's a woman. Like, this person tweeted, oh, where'd they go? The constant chomping at the bit to tear down AOC is absolutely part of the misogyny that exists on the left. Let me tell you what I'm not in the mood for. I am not in the mood for any of your identity politics, okay? I have seen too many dead Palestinian children. I have seen too many blown up babies. I have seen too many mutilated corpses. to give a single shit about your manipulative identity politics and your gaslighting, because that's exactly what that is. All of this, let's pretend that AOC isn't AOCing. Let's pretend that all of this is just because she's a woman. Let's pretend that people calling Joe Biden to step down are just ableist. Let's pretend that all the people that are calling Joe Biden to step down are just elitist whites, and that everybody in the Black community is just really excited and gung-ho for Joe. And if you don't agree, you're a racist. Let's pretend that everybody who is a Zionist really just cares about anti-Semitism. Okay. And everyone that doesn't and opposes their genocidal regime is actually just Hamas. I am so over all of you. I'm so over. I am fresh out of patience for your bullshit. And everybody knows it's bullshit. We all know it's bullshit. You know it's bullshit as you're spewing it. You're just pulling it out because it's historically worked. It's historically worked. Bullying people and trying to intimidate them and shame them and manipulate them into doing what you want them to do by using identity politics has historically worked. That is the reason why the Zionists do it. You see them posting, oh, well, in Israel, we have pride. Does Gaza have pride? They do that because they see that it worked here. But I literally do not give a shit, a single shit. Again, I know it works and it's worked in the past. And I know I am not the only person that feels this way, especially after watching Palestinians get slaughtered for the last 9 months. I am fresh out of patience for your manipulation bullshit. Thank you so much, Saeed. Saeed gifted 50. Oh my gosh, that is so much. Saeed, that is so kind of you. Guys, I don't remember exactly how this gifting thing works on the memberships. This is on YouTube. But I think on the membership side, if you gift 50 memberships, like I think you can just click it and then claim the membership if you're not already a member. But 50 memberships, that is so kind of you, Saeed. Thank you so much. I hope anybody who grabs a membership, please thank Saeed in the comments. Oh, Saeed, thank you so much. Thank you to everybody who has donated memberships and sent me super chats on YouTube and donated. You can become a member on my Ko-Fi, which is right there, or you can donate to me to support my work on Venmo, or you can donate super chats through YouTube or become a member. Thank you so much, Saeed. I appreciate you. I missed some chats. Yeah, it's really funny because also when it comes to identity politics, I just want to point this out too. They literally don't care about Arabs. Like they literally don't. The Democratic Party does not give a shit about Arab voters. They're like, Black and brown people are going to stand. They're riding with Biden. First of all, again, I don't care how many elites in the Democratic Party, all you like pundits and academics screech about how every Black and brown person supports Biden. First of all, they don't. Look at the polls, Jack. He's been losing support in the Black community steadily over the last year. That's number one. Number two, Trump is winning Latinos. Like, where you been? And number three, Arabs, oh, they don't care. They're not even pretending to care. They literally said when Arab voters said, we are not going to support Joe Biden because of the genocide in Gaza, his team said, you know what they said? We don't need them. We can win without them. We don't need Arab voters. That's how much they respect you. They don't respect you. This is just more, again, identity politics manipulation in order to try to bully people into voting for Biden. And I don't think they realize that it's not going to work. It's just not going to work. There's too much has changed. Yeah, Luke, same. I'm still trying to figure out how it all works. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out like how some of the things work on here. Yeah, so I'm this person can spare me the all of the feminist bullshit because AOC is accountable for what she has done and the stance that she has taken. I don't, Richard. I don't. I don't respect anybody who is going to continue to gaslight us and pretend that we're not seeing what we're seeing. Okay? So, and honestly, my favorite thing about this, I wish I could remember where I saw it. I think I retweeted it. Was Jamie Harrison calling Jill Stein a Russian puppet. I don't remember where I had it. Maybe I could search it. Jamie Harrison, Jill Stein. Yes, it's so good. It's so good. Hey, AK. I love seeing my members. Hey, John Lee. Hey, John Lee. I know. I love my members. YouTube, you guys are like some of my absolute favorite platform people. You guys are like so great. I mean, I love obviously my communities on all platforms, but you guys, YouTube, my YouTube fam is special. Also, this should be streaming on Twitch, but I don't know because I could never figure out how to use Twitch. It was too complicated. OBS, too much work, okay? Anyhow, look at this screenshot, you guys. You guys look at this screenshot, okay? So Biden writes Google Project 2025. Because again, they're not running anything on anything, okay? No promises, nothing. What? Something for you? Nah, no. We're just running on fear mongering. Now, that doesn't mean, because I know, the internet is where nuance goes to die, but that doesn't mean that I don't acknowledge that Project 2025 is scary and serious. I don't think they do. Because if they did, they wouldn't be risking our democracy with Joe Biden. I don't pretend Project 2025 isn't something concerning. It is. The question is, why don't you think it's concerning? Because if you really thought it was that concerning, why would you be risking us and trying to weekend at Bernie's the whole thing and hope that we don't notice? Okay? So then Jill Stein responds, and she's running third party in the Green Party, which for those of you who are not in the United States is a really long slog because we have a very entrenched and very corrupt two-party system that also was never mentioned in the Constitution, by the way. All the people who love to talk about the Constitution, they never talk about two-party systems. In fact, they were against parties. But anyway, so she writes, Google Free Palestine. Google Free Palestine. And then Jamie Harrison, thinking that he really nailed it. He thinks he's got it. He grabs a page from 2016 and goes, oh, yeah? Google Putin's puppet. I don't think they realize how clownish they sound when they talk about Putin. I really don't. The Democrats are so disconnected from reality. The elite Democrats, the Democrats in the party, the pundits, people like Jamie Harrison, all the people that work in Democratic politics, they do not realize how delusional they are. They don't realize how disconnected from reality they are and how disconnected they are from the voters. Because if they did, if they were, they wouldn't be still talking about Putin's puppets. First of all, that is so 2016. Okay? I don't remember exactly the quote that Barack Obama had from the first or maybe second debate in 2012, but he said something to the effect of like the 1980s called, it wants its like Russian talking points back or it's Russia fear mongering. Same here. 2016 called. It wants its Putin's puppet fear mongering back. I don't think you understand that no one cares. Why? Well, because A, it turned out to be very different than what you said it was, but B, let me tell you why. This is why. By the way, Jill Stein's response was amazing. Google Jamie Harrison, Podesta Group lobbies for Bank of America, BP, Lockheed Martin, Walmart, and Wells Fargo. That's amazing. That clapback is like epic. She's just like, yeah, I know. You can Google what a corrupt piece of shit you are and how you will, all of them. This is not unique to Jamie Harrison. Every single one of them become corrupt lobbyists for the highest bidder. That's all they care about. Donors and corporations and the rich that they serve. But I'll tell you why this is not a thing and why it's not going to work this time. The whole Putin's puppet, Russia meddling in our elections routine. No one takes you seriously. And it is because of this. Tell us about Russian interference in our election again. AIPAC literally brags on their social media sites, on their Twitter posts, that they buy our elections. Literally brag about it. If AIPAC opposes you, you're going to lose. If AIPAC supports you, you're going to win. But tell us again about Russian interference in our elections. They don't even have to register as a foreign lobbying organization. Oh, right. That's because they're the American. Yeah, Israel. Bankrolled by a bunch of dark money billionaires, foreigners, and right-wingers. I mean, what more is there to say? You clowns think that you can still fearmonger about Russia and Putin, as every single one of you are bought and paid for by the Israeli regime's lobbying groups. Not just AIPAC. AIPAC's the most powerful. There are many of them. Every single one of you. You are bought and paid for by the Israeli regime's lobbying groups. And you really think that the Russia routine is going to work this time. You are out of your mind. You are out of your mind. It's actually kind of amazing. It's actually kind of amazing. Yeah, and then yesterday, Rachel Maddow was like, this was amazing. President Biden showed a startlingly, oh, that's a hard word to say, startlingly impressive command of the issues at his press conference. He's not only strong on foreign policy, he's just fundamentally right on foreign policy in the way that he talks about it. Hi, have you seen what's happening in Gaza, Rachel? Like, they don't live in reality. Like, they really don't. I don't understand how you could say that with a straight face. I guess you can say that with a straight face if your audience is blue MAGA. Like, that's MSNBC's entire audience is like blue MAGA and blue Anon. That's why they never criticize Biden or the Democrats. Every once in a while, Chris Hayes will like lightly dip his toe into some criticism in reality, and then he'll get backlash from the audience. But unfortunately, being a lunatic cultist is not unique. The GOP doesn't have a monopoly on that. Like, yes, right-wing MAGA are lunatics, and there is nothing that you can say about present-day reality that will change their view. But the same thing can be said of Blue Anon and MAGA. I mean, Blue MAGA. Because I will see, like, a random, barely offensive, like barely critical kind of tiptoeing around a comment from one of the MSNBC anchors, and Blue Anon will come swarming into the comments and talk about how they're trying to help Trump. Like, it's crazy. It's like, honestly, I think that most of their audience are like elderly people and wine moms. No, I don't think they care about genocide. Of course they don't. They don't care. They don't care about what's happening in Gaza. They also do not care about they don't care about the suffering of the people that are happening in Gaza. They don't care about holding the regime accountable. Ew. Gross. Get out of my chat. Block. Sorry for everybody that just had to see that. There was a troll in my comments. It's like, no, bro. No, bro. Get out. Yeah, for real, Narnar. They don't. Not only do they not care about what's happening in Gaza, they're actively cheering what's happening in Gaza, supporting what's happening in Gaza, pretending that what's happening in Gaza isn't happening, while continuing to prop up and defend the genocidal, psychotic IOF. Ah! Oh my gosh. The women in the top photo. See what I mean? When I say Israel has learned that identity politics is a very effective weapon that works when it comes to Americans, so they're trying to use it. This is imperial feminism. The women in the top photo are telling the women below, we promise that will never happen again. You mean to you? Because it is happening again to the Palestinians. Speaking of things that I am really tired of, is Zionists and genocide cheerleaders pretending that they're in danger somehow and doing the never again routine. When never again is right now. It's happening in Gaza. It's happening in Palestine. So when you keep doing things like that, posting things like that and saying, oh, never again, you mean for you. Because what about never again for the Palestinians? How come nothing applies to them? How come Palestinians don't have a right to defense? When do you hear Palestine has a right to exist? When do you hear Palestinians have a right to defend themselves? When do you hear, oh, never again, including for Palestinians? No, you don't. Instead, you see total vapid imperial feminism identity politics, never again, showing, exploiting, and weaponizing the Holocaust. I mean, that's probably one of the most grotesque things I've seen come out of this whole thing is seeing Zionist cheerleaders for genocide and death and destruction in Gaza weaponize the Holocaust and use the suffering from the Holocaust as a way to defend and excuse what they're doing to the Palestinians. That's probably one of the most vile things that I've seen. Because it's one thing if you want to be a genocide cheerleader and you want to do genocide denial of what's happening to the Palestinians and what the IOF and the Israeli regime with our assistance in the United States is doing to the Palestinians. But then to turn around and then use what happened in the Holocaust, the suffering of the Holocaust, and use that to justify your genocide of the Palestinians. I mean, it's really next level. It's really depraved on a level that's like hard to comprehend how somebody could do that. Yesterday, another person who did that while they ignore what happens to the Palestinians was do you guys know who Michaela Peterson is? She's like Jordan oh my gosh, Jordan Peterson. Guys, you know what? I need to create like a burner account on X so that I can see Jordan Peterson's tweets because I really miss seeing Jordan Peterson's deranged tweets and I can't see them anymore because he blocked me. Here it is. Okay. So here's Michaela Peterson, who is Jordan Peterson's daughter. Jordan Peterson of same fame who pretended to be like a moderate and a philosopher and very like calm and measured, and everybody just calmed down, and is like a psychotic Zionist doing propaganda for the genocidal Israeli regime and like having meltdowns about Elmo on Twitter. That Jordan Peterson, a stupid person's idea of a smart person, and basically hoodwinked a bunch of very insecure young men into making him a multimillionaire. So she gets on her little soapbox and is crying about how people refer to her as a rat, or people call people rats, something like that. So she was like getting in a fight with Nick Fuentes, and she's crying about it. But then they have nothing to say about people who call Palestinians vermin. Yeah, it's almost like never again is just something you weaponize. So this is her.
Clarify, I think calling individuals rats or whatever is fine, particularly if they are rat-like. I think it's different when you're referring to an entire nation of people as rats that have been subject to, say, Hitler less than 100 years ago. When the Nazis or the 1930s,
who defines who's rat-like? Absalom Jones. It took me a second to realize you were impersonating Jordan Peterson. You're a cultural Marxist. You're a cultural Marxist. Up your Ziggy with a wah-wah brush. Oh my gosh, it's so amazing. Okay, so after she did that, calling people a rat's anti-Semitic, unless you're doing it individually, but then who decides? Who decides who's a rat individually? Because I think Pete Buttigieg looks like a rat. So can I say he's a rat? Like, how are we deciding the rules here? And then she says that right after this genocidal Twitter account says about people fleeing in Gaza, civilians fleeing in Gaza. He says, running like mice from one area to another. Next time, don't essay and kill people. You got that? So he's calling that grandma, okay? He's claiming that this grandma and all these children, first of all, this is the kind of shit that is next level psychotic, next level deranged. He's calling a bunch, whoever this account is calling a bunch of Palestinian civilians fleeing from the destruction and the genocide. And when I say flee, I don't even mean flee because they're trapped. They're trapped. They are a besieged population, literally trapped in a cage. So they can move from northern Gaza into central Gaza, down to southern Gaza, and then back into central Gaza, and then back into northern Gaza. But they actually really can't flee anywhere because they are trapped in a cage. Some might call it a concentration camp. So as they're trapped in this concentration camp, this lunatic first calls them mice. So he's comparing them to vermin. Where's calling Michaela Peterson? Paging Michaela Peterson. Where you be? Where you be? Someone's calling someone vermin. A whole people. Not an individual. They're calling a whole people vermin. They're calling grandmothers vermin. They're calling children vermin. Where have we seen that before? Also, claiming that all these people next time the children and the grandmothers don't rape and kill. So, and then they're just perpetuating their hoaxes, their atrocity propaganda hoaxes that never happened. They're perpetrating those again, of course, because that's how you justify genocide, is by repeating your propaganda hoaxes. Remember when they pretended to care about political correctness? Jordan Peterson pretending to care about political correctness. I love it. It's amazing. Peterson calling innocent civilians cowards. I know. I know. They really have some nerve calling anybody else a coward. They really do. I love that. Political correctness.
You want to be. See, you're going to go have an honest conversation with your physician when he's terrified out of his mind that he'll say something politically incorrect during the diagnostic process. Hey, man, you're sick with whatever you want to be.
What happened to being against political correctness? What happened? I thought we were against political correctness here. Weird. Weird. Jordan Peterson shaking hands with Netanyahu. Likes to come across as intellectual. Say he wants to understand the complexities of the Middle East. So why not speak to Palestinians? Exactly. Oh, this picture is just, it says 1,000 words. 1,000 words. It's so perfect. And you know what's amazing? That tweet from Richard Medhurst is from 2022. So this was well before October 7th. Yeah, Glenn Greenwald is right about all these frauds. All of these people made, this is what I want you to understand. I don't know if anybody in the chat right now is like a right winger or a previous fan of Ben Shapiro or Jordan Peterson. Here's what I want all of you guys to remember and understand. Every single one of these people made millions and millions and millions of dollars by being pro-free speech and anti-cancel culture. That's how all of them made money. You guys remember the intellectual dark web? Remember that? Lamau. Of all these people being like, we're anti-cancel culture. We're pro-free speech. Pro-free speech. Up yours, woke nihilists. But all the free speech absolutists, you know, like Rafe Dubin and Barry Weiss and Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson and Sam Harris and the Weinstein brothers. Who am I forgetting that was in the intellectual dark web? All of them suddenly became advocates for censorship when it came to the Israeli regime. Yeah, what happened to that? What happened to that, guys? What happened to free speech absolutism? What happened to being anti-cancel culture? And then all of them cheered as people who spoke out against the Israeli regime got canceled. No one suffers more from cancel culture than pro-Palestinian activists and Palestinians. The pro-Palestinian activists and Palestinians have been more affected by cancel culture and more affected by censorship than anyone. But have you seen any of these frauds defend them? Defend BDS? Have you seen any of these frauds defend them or defend BDS? No. On the contrary, you've seen them cheer it. They cheer when professors get fired. They cheer when BDS is made illegal in a certain state. They cheer when pro-Palestinian activists lose their jobs. They are so full of shit. So full of it. I want you all to remember, okay? I want all of you to remember, and I hope that you do, never to trust anything that comes out of these people's mouths again. Because you do have Ben Shapiro trying to come back. Yeah, you're right, Wesley. Barry Weiss was getting pro-Palestinian professors fired before it was cool to do so. Yeah. Oh, yeah. She was an early pioneer. I just want for everyone to remember this, to never trust anything any of these people say. Like, don't fall for their shtick again. Don't. You have, what is his name? Why am I forgetting his name? Oh, right now, Ben Shapiro's show, he just went on this rant about how he spoke in front of Congress about how media companies are targeting the right. And I'm like, really? You're going to pretend to do this routine again? Really? Really? I have a question. How dumb are Ben Shapiro's viewers? How dumb are you guys? Especially those of you who are paying for his premium subscription. He literally comes out and is like, I went to go speak on Congress about censorship and censoring right-wing voices. Meh. You literally fired one of your employees because they criticized the Israeli regime. You literally cheered as billionaire Zionists like Bill Ackman put on X that he would not hire anybody that criticized Israel. And you were cheering him for that. And you want us to believe that you're against censorship? Get out of here. Hello, Jack Foster 37 from Twitch. Get out of here. Get all the way out of here. Yeah, let's see if we can find that, let's see if we can find that Ben Shapiro Code Pink clip, which, by the way, I love Code Pink. I love Code Pink. Medea Benjamin, who is an anti-Zionist Jewish woman, she is amazing. That's why the Zionists hate her, because it just cracks their narrative. All of their, like, if you criticize Zionism, it's because you're anti-Semitic. It's like she really interrupts that narrative for them because she is a Jewish woman who is an anti-Zionist. And I love her because of her tenacity and her unwillingness to be bothered and give up. Like, she is always there. She's at the AIPAC dinners. She's at the Congress's door. She's in the hallway. She's interrupting their fundraisers. Like, she is like, she's amazing. She is can't stop, won't stop. I admire her commitment. She's great. I would love to interview her. Not that like I'm an interviewer, but it would be fun to talk to her. Yes. Okay, let's watch this. I think people do join her. I do think people join her. There are a lot of people. All right, we're going to watch this in a second. But yeah, I think that there are a lot of people that do join Medea and Code Pink that are a part of Code Pink that will protest, I think. Yes. Okay, let's watch this.
And you have continued to spew hate.
Hamas should not start a war on behalf of its citizens and then shoot its own citizens, and you stand for it. Makes you a disgrace.
The people of Palestine have been occupied for 75 years, and the blood is on the hands of every person in this Congress and every person who watches your propaganda of hate, white supremacy, and racism. You have been poisoning the American public for them to also be complicit in what is going on in Palestine. Shame on you and shame on every one of you who have invited them into this building. How does it feel for you to poison the American public and what you've been perpetuating? Hate, racism, white supremacy, and the genocide that is being carried out on the Palestinian people.
And how does it feel to stand for Hamas? Does that feel good to you? Do you feel good standing in solidarity with a terrorist group that has
I feel very good standing in solidarity with Palestinian people who have been murdered by Israel, by U.S. paid tax dollars and bonds, and you have continued to spew hate.
What's happening is we're just watching this clip on Twitter of a Code Pink activist going up to Ben Shapiro and asking him, like, how does it feel to spew propaganda and lies on behalf of the Zionist regime and cheer Palestinian babies getting killed? And his literal response is but Hamas. Like actually, literally. But Hamas. How does it feel to stand for Hamas? Oh my gosh. It's really unreal. It's really unreal. How do you feel? How do you feel? How does it feel to stand for Hamas? That's literally his answer to that's all of their answer to everything. But Hamas. Hamas, 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 but Hamas. Oh my gosh. No, it's so next level. It also shows you what a psychopath he is, because what he's doing there is he's saying that all Palestinians are Hamas. That all Palestinians are Hamas. Think about how psychotic that is. Every single Palestinian, the babies, the infants on incubators, the children, the little boys and girls, the disabled people in wheelchairs, the grandmothers, they're all Hamas. They're all Hamas. Absolutely psychotic. Yeah, Hind Rajab was Hamas. Absolutely psychotic. You guys, we can't let them normalize it. They have tried to normalize what has happened in Gaza. Normalize genocide. We can't allow them to normalize it. Which someone remind me in a few minutes, speaking of normalization, that I want to mention what happened to that flight attendant who was wearing the pro-Palestine flag. Somebody remind me of that in a few minutes. I cannot stand that Zionist propagandist Emily Schrader. Oh, absolutely. She is the worst. I wish I could debate her, but Piers, but do you condemn Hamas, has not invited me on his show yet. I hope he invites me on his show soon and allows me to debate Emily Schrader, who is an American settler who parked her ass in Palestine and then pretends to be indigenous to the land. AK, are you on Twitch too? Some of us could subprime. I am on Twitch. Yes. I just started streaming on Twitch today, like through the same platform. Like it's streaming on Twitch and YouTube, but I'm doing it through a third-party platform because I don't understand how to use Twitch. Like it's very boomer. I don't understand how to use OBS. And you have to like use OBS or a second camera in order to use Twitch. And I was not even fucking with that because it was like OBS was overwhelming me. I need something simple. And by the way, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you very much. I appreciate everybody who sends super chats, which I think you can only do through YouTube. And you can also become a member through YouTube. My wonderful member Saeed just gifted like a ton of memberships, so you can just get one through one of the ones he gifted. And you can also become a member on my Ko-Fi, which is like basically the same thing as Patreon, which is here on my little screen. Or you can donate to my Venmo and support my work that way, because you guys are the reason why I'm able to do what I do, and your support is extremely appreciated and important so that I can tell the truth and talk about these things openly with you guys and not have to worry about being hired by someone. I can work for myself. So thank you very much, everybody who sent super chats and became members and donated to my Venmo or became members on Ko-Fi. I love you all. Ben Shapiro is actually more monstrous than I ever thought. Like I used to think like before October 7th when I really didn't understand. And like, honestly, I really did not understand. I was like super ignorant. Many of you who have been with me now for a while, you know, like my story and how I came about this and how I was very ignorant when it came to what was happening in Israel and Palestine and the occupation and the history of the Palestinian people. So like before October 7th and before my kind of like awakening, I knew that Ben Shapiro was like a psychotic right-winger, but I thought that like he was probably a good person in his personal life. Like I always got the sense that like, I'm sure he loves his family. He seems to be like genuinely religious and probably isn't that bad of a person. Then once I learned about Gaza and started seeing the things he said about Gaza, I'm like, oh, wait, no, 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 no. He's not just like a psycho right-winger who's probably a good person to his own family. He's a psycho. He's a sociopath. Because you can't talk about Palestinians like they're animals like that and cheer on psychotic settlers that are regularly abusing and killing Palestinians in the occupied West Bank and talking about them like they're vermin and then be a good person. Like, that's not a thing. It's not a thing. FYI, Akon wrote, or AK, I'm sorry. FYI, people in chat need to turn on gifted subs from YouTube settings in the desktop for next time. It's random. I don't know what that means. Oh, you mean if somebody gifts you a subscription, you have to actually like turn it on in your settings? Oh, man. I don't know what I would do without you guys. You guys are like actually, okay, thanks, AK. Everybody get that? I hope that everybody in chat saw that. AK saying that if you want to get one of the free gifted subscriptions that Saeed gave, you have to turn on gifted subs in your YouTube settings in your desktop. I did not know that. You guys are always helping me out. Saeed, no way. I know. But it's not that I ever really thought he was a good person. I obviously always thought he was a bad person because like he's a psychotic right-wing zealot. But I used to think like, oh, I'm sure, you know, he's like loves his family and probably cares about his community. He at least, I guess what I'm trying to say is he at least seems somewhat sincere to me, as opposed to like a lot of the other right-wing grifters are fully in it for the grift. Like all the right-wingers that I just talked about earlier that pretend to be pro-free speech, people like Jordan Peterson, Rafe Dubin, Barry Weiss, like all of those grifters are fully in it for the grift. What's his name? The guy who always wears like the gun holster to look tough and he always breathes like this. What is his name? The right-winger? I forget his name. I'm forgetting his name. He's like the right-winger that is like a psycho. Crowder. Thank you, Wandering Star. That's his name, Steven Crowder. All of those grifters are fully in it for the grift. They're fully in it for the money. They're basically all like failed writers and failed people that tried to get into Hollywood and didn't make it. And so they're taking their anger out on the rest of us. And like, no, but for real though, like the guy who started Breitbart, Andrew Clavin, pretty much the entire staff at the Daily Wire, like Michael Knowles, what's his name? The one who did Matt, what is his name? Matt, the fascist guy at the Daily Wire. Matt Walsh. All of those people, they were all like failed comedians and failed wannabe writers in Hollywood, including Ben Shapiro. And then they decided they were going to like enact their revenge on the American people by starting all these right-wing companies. And the thing that people need to understand about right-wing companies is that they have endless money. There is no money on the left. And the reason for that is very simple, because the left, and I'm speaking broadly now, but like the left, they advocate generally for taxation on the rich. A lot of leftists are socialists, so they advocate for abolishing certain private industries. Obviously, corporations and billionaires are not going to invest in leftist media and in like such liberal media when they're advocating for things that would tax them and take their money. That's why you don't see it. That's why the only liberal media that you see is liberal media that won't criticize capitalism. You'll never see, the only liberal media that you'll see are media outlets that will never get too close to the edge of criticizing capitalism. That's why actual leftists, socialists, people who make content about that kind of stuff, anybody who is on the left, even broadly, will never get that kind of funding because it goes against the interests of the elite class. Like by virtue of what the left is saying, by virtue of tax the rich, give everybody housing, abolish billionaires, like all of that kind of stuff, tax corporations, all of that stuff goes against everything that liberals and the right wing believes in. So of course they're not going to get the funding. But if you're on the right, you will have an endless stream of funding. An endless stream. That's how the Daily Wire is propped up. It's how Steven Crowder is propped up. It's how Rafe Dubin is propped up. It's how they're all propped up by dark. What is his name? Charlie Kirk. No one fucking listens to Charlie Kirk, but he is propped up by dark money right-wing billionaires. And they're all Zionists, so they get tons of money from Zionists and from the Israeli lobby. So the point that I was trying to make is that I think that Ben Shapiro is sincere in his psychotic right-wing Zionism. I think most of them are just grifters. Like, I don't think Charlie Kirk's heart's really in Zionism, but it pays well to shill for Israel. It pays well to be a right-wing hack. But his heart's not in it. And it's the same thing with a lot of the other right-wingers. I think Ben Shapiro is one of the only ones that, like, he's actually sincere in his psychotic sociopathy and Zionism. Does that make sense, everyone? I hope that made sense. That was a little bit of a rant, but I hope it made sense. Yeah, for real, collage. I just think, too, that a lot of them, they don't actually really care. They just want a right-wing fascist agenda. I do think it's interesting, though, that Ben Shapiro cries constantly if anybody criticizes his stances on the Israeli regime. But he never criticizes them, you'll notice. He won't criticize Netanyahu. He won't criticize anything Israel does. But he'll go vicious every single day against his own fellow citizens in America. That's a little sus. Why? Because I remember him crying because people were saying that, like, he put Israel first. Like, people were saying Ben Israel first, and he was like crying about it and calling them anti-Semitic and all the rest. But then it's like, well, you know what's funny is Ben Shapiro has no problem ripping apart Democrats, the Democratic president, his fellow Democratic citizens, liberals, but he won't criticize Netanyahu. He won't criticize anybody in the Israeli regime. He won't criticize the country. But his entire show, for the most part, is just a long rant about how much he hates his fellow citizens. That's literally what it is. His whole show is just talking about how he hates American Democrats, American liberals, his fellow citizens, and anybody in the American government that doesn't agree with him. So, yeah, I really, you can spare me your crocodile tears, Ben, about how everything I don't like is anti-Semitic when people rightly criticize you for not opposing genocide, doing propaganda for this psychotic regime, and never criticizing them when you have no problem at all ripping apart on a daily basis. It's how you make your living, by tearing down your own country and your fellow citizens. Hating on fellow citizens started with Rush Limbaugh. Yeah, I did. It's too bad he's in hell now. He never rails on the billionaire class. Of course not. Of course not. Those are his bosses. Those are his bosses. he could never criticize the billionaire class because he believes in it. He wants to be one. And those are the people that write his checks and invest in his company. Sam Cedar still calls him Ben, the Pope of the Jews. I know, that's really funny. Sam Cedar is really funny. But that I love that he calls him that because he really acts like he is in charge of everything Jewish people should think. He really does. He acts like he's in charge. Like he criticizes anti-Zionist Jews and calls them not real Jews or as a Jews. Bernie Sanders is about as Jewish as a ham sandwich. Okay. But I love how they want it both ways, though, for their own purposes. When they want to criticize Jewish people who are anti-Zionist or criticize Bernie Sanders, they say, it doesn't matter. You're as Jewish as a ham sandwich. But then when it comes to wanting to claim indigeneity to a land they're not from, then all of a sudden it's ethnic. Then all of a sudden it's ethnic. Then all of a sudden it's, you can't say anything. This is our land. We're indigenous to it. Make up your mind. Pick a lane. Bro, I need more coffee. I definitely need more coffee. You guys, his show is really falling. He's just sitting around talking about Barbie. Yeah. And he won't, yeah, of course, he won't debate Norman Finkelstein. Norman Finkelstein has been asking to debate him for a while, but he won't debate him. Norman Finkelstein, who is Jewish, but not according to Ben Shapiro, because, you know, you got to go through Ben Shapiro if you want to get your card. Yes, Saeed. Yeah, that's why they won't allow DNA tests. Would love to write a book called Great Idiots of History. Rachel Corrie would make the list. It's just another example of Ben Shapiro throwing his own fellow citizens under the bus and trashing them in defense of the Israeli regime. Because Rachel Corrie was an American citizen who was brutally murdered by the IOF when they ran over her with a bulldozer because she was trying to get them to stop tearing down and stealing Palestinian houses in Rafah. I'm pretty sure it was Rafah. And they ran over her. And there was no consequences for it. None. No consequences. There was no consequences in the Israeli regime, of course, because they have like a fake legal system and nothing they do ever gets punished. But no one got held accountable here either. In fact, this is what they do. She was murdered for protecting a doctor's house from a bulldozer. After murdering her and stealing her eyes, the Israelis had a pancake party to use her death for fun and photos. That is the society that they're upholding. That's the society that Israel is upholding. It really is next level. But there's never any consequences. There's never any consequences for anything the Israeli regime does, even if they kill an American citizen, like Rachel Corrie or like Shireen Abu Akleh, who was also an American citizen. Mr. Bonelli. Yeah, it actually is really embarrassing that Ben Shapiro is afraid to debate Norm Finkelstein and won't debate him, but Destiny did. Like Destiny, I think was like me. He only like really learned about the Israel-Palestine thing like 5 minutes ago, and he's out there doing all those debates because he has like that white man confidence. But Ben Shapiro, who's been a Zionist his whole life, won't debate Norm Finkelstein because he knows that Norm Finkelstein would crush him. And he knows that Norm Finkelstein would not put up with the whole, oh, well, you're not actually really Jewish because you don't agree with me routine. He's too afraid to debate him. Ben Shapiro is only comfortable debating like blue-haired college students in their first year. They never actually are willing to debate anybody who could stand toe-to-toe with them. They always go after like younger people that aren't experienced in debating and that also don't have their own mic, if you'll notice. Ben Shapiro never debates anybody where it's equal time on a mic. He only debates people where he is in the authoritative position and can cut them off, and he has the mic. Also, that Genucell that Ben Shapiro is always promoting does not work. Okay?
Poison the American public.
Say it, but I'm going to say it because men get to be all, cis men get to be sexist all the time against women and women identifying people and AFAB people. But no one ever points out when a guy looks like shit. Like if a woman looks like shit, they'll be like, oh my gosh, like she looks like shit. She's gained weight. She's aging so bad. Like, how come no one ever talks about the fact that Ben Shapiro looks like shit? Like, and he promotes Genucell on his channel. Like he has like a partnership with them. He gets paid to promote their products. He's always like, Genucell is great. I think it's Genucell. I think it is. I think that's the company. I'm not 100% sure, but he'll be like, Genucell is great. Man, my wife uses Genucell. Man, my mom uses Genucell. Man, you should use it too. It's one of our earliest sponsors. Are they though? Well, then I'll definitely never buy Genucell because for somebody who takes care of themselves and he's healthy and all that, as he says he does, he's looking a little rough. He's only like, what, 40? He looks a little rough.
Good, standing in solidarity with a terrorist group that has murdered
I feel very
1,200.
good.
Hamas. I like how he goes, do you feel good about standing for a terrorist group that has murdered 1,200 civilians? How about the terrorist regime that has murdered 186,000 people? How about that? Can you make a video on Ben? Well, Nar, I need you to be more specific because I'm kind of doing a video on him right now. Like we're talking about Ben right now. I can do another video on him if you want, but I need to know what specifically regarding him you want. I just like how implicit in their statements. I actually have made videos on Ben Shapiro before. I just like how implicit in their statements when he says, you stand for Hamas because they killed 1,200 people, which they count the IOF soldiers in that number, and they shouldn't. Because if you're not going to count Hamas in the number of Palestinians murdered, then we're not counting IOF soldiers. But then also, what he's saying is Palestinian lives don't matter. That's what he's saying. Because when he says, you're standing for Hamas because they killed 1,200 Israelis, but he doesn't care that the IOF terrorist regime, the occupying force against a besieged, armless civilian population, he doesn't care that 186,000 at least have been murdered. So what he's saying is Palestinian lives don't matter. That's what everybody is saying. We already know that they employed the Hannibal Directive on October 7th. I did a video on that a couple days ago. We already know that. On top of that, we already know by the way that this whole thing has been treated, that the West in general And people like Ben Shapiro think that Palestinians' lives do not matter because we constantly want to talk about, oh, October 7th, October 7th, October 7th. What about every day since October 7th? What about every day since October 7th? How about the occupied West Bank? Hamas aren't there, but they're terrorizing Palestinians in the occupied West Bank every single day. Every day. They think we don't have social media. They think we don't have Telegram, that we don't see. We see. We see. They think that they can put this toothpaste back in the tube. I think that's what they really don't get. There's no going back from everything that people have seen, what they've done to the Palestinians. Ben Shapiro wants your sons and daughters to go. Oh, that was Rachel Corrie as a kid. It's so sad. Oh my gosh, do you guys remember this cringe? Do you guys remember this cringe? If you make a song about Palestine, I'm sure it will trend. I actually have written a song about Palestine, Narnar, but I haven't been able to record it yet because I need a producer. So if someone's a producer in chat, hit me up. Hit me up. If you're a producer, if you're a music producer in chat, hit me up. Because I have written that song. I've written actually a few songs, but I don't have the recording equipment or the production equipment in order to be able to record it the way that I'd want to. The thing that was so disgusting about this, kind of going to what I was saying earlier, what I was saying earlier was how disgusting it is that they weaponized the Holocaust this way. That they took him on this propaganda tour in front of Auschwitz in order to try to clean up his image after the statements that he made. And Elon Musk like backed down like immediately. He's like, yes, yes, yes. Through Parliament. Oh yeah, they're all over. It's just crazy. It really is. Based. This guy's a demon. Brian Mast. Total demon. LOL. But seriously though, Hurt Copain is absolutely right about Michael Rapist Port. That like they literally can't stop, won't stop culture vulturing. Like they can't because there is no Israeli culture. So they just steal Arab culture and Palestinian culture. It's quite something. It's quite something. Yes, thank you, Narnar. I'm telling you, if there's got to be a music producer in here somewhere, hit me up. Hit me up. Help me finish my Palestine song. Oh, it's so amazing. We have to finish the job. The narcissism. Moral of the story is Ben Shapiro's a psycho, and he's supporting these war crimes. Channel 12 post 70% of Israelis think Netanyahu must resign now or once the war is over. What kind of a stupid question is that? Because he's going to keep it going because he doesn't want to get out of office. So he's going to keep it going. Okay, so I'm going to throw this out there again. I need a producer who can work with me on a song that I wrote about Palestine. Somebody who knows how to produce for the cause. It would be very cool to produce a song that I wrote for Gaza, and then any proceeds that it gets from views or from streams would be able to go to Gaza. That would be very cool. So hit me up. Hit me up. DM me on Twitter. Comment. He doesn't want to leave office. Thank you for the super chat, Absalom. I'm not sure what you're referring to here, but they all censor. They all do. All of them censor. TikTok is the worst. Nobody's been able to answer what happens after the war. Well, it's not a war, it's a genocide. And also, they don't want to answer it because they don't want to stop occupying it. That's the real answer. They don't want to stop occupying the Palestinians. And they also want to take the rest of their land. They want to take what's left of it. They want to push all of them out and take the rest of their land. And if you actually listen to what the Israeli regime is saying, they will say that. The settlers will say it. The war cabinet will say it. Ben-Gvir will say it. Smotrich will say it. Jared Kushner will say it. They actually are very clear about what they want to do. They want to push the Palestinians into Jordan and into the Sinai Peninsula, steal the rest of their land, and build beachfront properties on it for tourists and other rich Zionists. The only reason why the West isn't saying that is because they know how bad it sounds. So liberals and the West, they just pretend that this two-state solution is a thing. They'll go, oh, we need to do a two-state solution, but they know that that's bullshit. Yeah, exactly, Wesley. That's exactly what they want. Yeah, he attended a seminar where they're trying to sell beachfront properties. There have been multiple times that happened. It happened in New Jersey. It happened in LA. And then all the media lied about the protests. And we're like trying to change the narrative and claim that people were just attacking people at a synagogue without mentioning the reason why the protesters were there, which was to protest the illegal sale of Palestinian land. Yeah, I've learned through this whole thing that like the whole two-state solution thing was always a lie. It was always just like a talking point to shut up people in the West and make people in the West feel better. Like, oh, that's cool. Equal. They'll both get a state. Wash our hands of it. They never meant it. They've never meant it. Separate but equal, you might say. Right. But then they all still pretend to not know what apartheid is. Apartheid. If you're that moron, human herpy, Michael Rappaport, who's in the Zionist protection racket, because he would unironically like be canceled if he were not a Zionist, because he is a total creep. He's such a perv. He's such a predator. It's like out of control. Nash Boba. That's really funny. Mayor Bass apologizing. Yeah, they always take their side. They always take their side. He is a stalker, AK. He literally stalks me. Literally stalks me. Not only does he stalk me, he now stalks my husband. It's no wonder he loves Israel so much. That's where all the predators go. He like found my husband's Instagram and was like stalking it. It's just creepy. All I'm saying is if you are a woman or AFAB person, don't be alone with him. That's all I'm saying. Like legitimately deranged. You guys are funny. Oh, you guys are funny. All right. Well, I love you guys and I wish I could stay a lot longer, but I gotta go. I asked you guys, YouTube members, what you wanted to talk about today, but you didn't give a specific topic. Talk about that, the PDF files who run to the occupied land for amnesty. Yes. That's a really good topic, AK. We do need to talk about the PDF files. Let me do a little bit more research on that and we can talk about it next time. Yeah. Yeah, Saeed, they like to pretend that everybody who doesn't agree with them who's Jewish is a self-hating Jew. Do you guys remember that clip that went viral a couple weeks ago on Twitter of that woman, that Zionist woman, having a meltdown because an anti-Zionist Jew was protesting in Union Square? Do you guys see that? Okay, we'll watch this last one and then I really got to run. But let's watch this. What? How do you search it? Karen yells at anti-Zionist Jew. Twitter's search function sucks. Was it this one?
Not a Jew! How dare you!
When Zionism
You're
came
not a
in,
Jew!
when
Just say
Zionism
that!
came in, they caused in bloodshed. They caused rivers of bloodshed.
How can you say that? You're Jewish! How can you shame your
Oh, yeah, it is. I'm honestly sad I wasn't there. I wish I could have been there. I live in New York City. I could have just gone right down there and fucking joined this drama. There are so many Jewish people like this man. A lot of pro-Palestinian, anti-Zionist Jews, a lot of them. I've been at pro-Palestinian marches where there was huge crowds of anti-Zionist Jews. But they like to pretend they don't exist because it's very inconvenient for their narrative. Very inconvenient for their narrative. I know, it's funny. They love to call everything an anti-Semitic trope. How is it not an anti-Semitic trope to call people self-hating Jews? Yeah. That's what I thought. Yeah, they really don't like acknowledging, though, the anti-Zionist like Torah Jews because as I said, it's very inconvenient for their narrative of saying that everybody agrees with them. Every Jewish person has to be a Zionist or else they're like a fake Jew or a self-hating Jew. And these people are Orthodox. These Jewish people are Orthodox and very like committed to free Palestine and anti-Israeli regime. And that's just very inconvenient for them, for propagandists and Zionists like Michael Rappaport, who like, I don't even know. He is Jewish. Like, did he convert to Judaism or is he like ethnically Ashkenazi, European Jew? I don't know. I would have never known that he was Jewish if it weren't for him not shutting the fuck up about it. I honestly, if I had to guess his ethnicity, I thought he was like a white trash, not to insult my Irish people, because I love Irish people, Irish Americans. That's what I thought he was. I thought he was like a white trash, South Boston, like Irish American.
people!
Who is our Jew?
We're Jews! This is our people!
He was against Jews.
I like how she's like straight up white. Just straight up white.
We're all Jews here, all right?
The guy's like, calm down, lady. We're all Jews here. Are you? She just looks like a white Karen. Yeah. Also, he's like, calm down, lady. But like, I also love how she's whining and then accuses them of not really being Jewish. Like, you guys are they're such fucking hypocrites. They'll literally try to dehumanize other Jewish people, Orthodox anti-Zionist Jewish people, and then cry about how they're anti-Semitic as they're denying them their Judaism. It's quite something.
How are they saying that?
Because they
believe
in genocide. You don't want genocide. I don't want that. Because I'm Jewish. In the Talmud says it's not our country like that.
That is our country! How dare you say that about our own people!
Because I'm Jewish. Because I'm Jewish, I'm standing
Like a typical Karen, she tries to grab his phone.
You're putting yourself in this situation.
How can they say that? You're Jewish! They're just taking pictures!
How embarrassing that she brought her kid to this. Like, how embarrassing. You brought your kid to this and you're screaming like a lunatic in front of your child. Embarrassing. Some people should not be allowed to be parents. I know, that was great. The best reply from a Jewish person to a Zionist when they asked him about the Jews' homeland, and he replied, "You mean New York?" True. True.
Gaza. Kids are dying in Gaza. Kids are dying in Gaza.
That one Orthodox guy keeps saying, children are dying in Gaza, children are dying in Gaza. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care that children are dying. This guy up here is like, hey,
This is not what Judaism stands for.
Shame, shame, Israel! Shame, shame, Israel!
I'm protecting her. Let me. Yeah. You guys, leave her alone.
No, we are.
the irony of this Zionist lunatic calling other people, okay, monsters. You're calling other people monsters as that guy waves around his fake passport. Please, please. Yeah, it's so embarrassing. That's what everybody, you know, never, first of all, never allow someone to silence your voice and your advocacy for human rights because they try to smear you with name calling, like saying that you're anti-Semitic. Never allow them to do that. That's how they try to shut down conversation. That's how they try to shut people down. And do always remember that there is a big difference between these monsters like her that are advocating for genocide and actual advocacy for human rights. And don't let anybody tell you, especially these lunatic Zionists, if you are Jewish, who gets to be Jewish and who doesn't. Like, don't let anybody do that. There are a lot. And if you're not that familiar with it, also don't let Zionist lunatics make you think a certain way about Jewish folks overall, because there are a lot of amazing, amazing anti-Zionist Jews. I live in New York. I live in Brooklyn. There are a lot of Jewish people here. There are a lot of anti-Zionist Jewish people here. And some of them are the strongest voices, leading voices for the pro-Palestinian movement. So never allow them to make you dehumanize other people because they do. I always, like want to remind people of that they dehumanize people. Never allow them to make you lose your humanity. Because we don't, on our side, those of us who are pro-human, we don't judge people or decide whether or not somebody has worth, whether or not, based on whether or not they are Jewish, or whether or not they are Palestinian, or whether or not they are Black, or any other gender or race. Because we are humanists and we do not dehumanize that way. The way that somebody who is vile and disgusting like Zionists are, that can get you to be on their level, is to get you to dehumanize people the way that they do. Never allow them to take your humanity for other people from you. JD McCoy, I dated a Jewish dude, still think he's so hot. The irony is that the activity of these Zionist lunatics is just making Jews, including Israelis, less safe. I know. I've been saying that for months. That's what I've been saying that for months, including to the lunatic Zionists here in New York. Oh, I know, Nar. There are a lot of crazy Zionists here, but there are a lot of crazy Christian Zionists here too. But that is true. It's literally them making Jewish people unsafe. Like, when they say, they constantly conflate Jewish people with Zionism and the entity, the Israeli entity. Unironically anti-Semitic and unironically making every Jewish person less safe, because what they're saying is to be Jewish is to support genocide. That's what the Zionists are doing when they go out of their way to conflate anti-Semitism with anti-Zionism. They are making all Jews less safe, which is how you know they really don't give a shit about Jewish safety. If they really gave a shit about Jewish safety, they wouldn't be conflating Zionism with what it means to be Jewish. Did I just tokenize him? I'm old. I have no clue. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's really funny. It's really funny too, because like, no, you have to reject their bad faith smears. It's just really funny. Because now like all the bad faith lunatic Zionists, all they do is call their opponents anti-Semitic. Everything I don't like is anti-Semitic, and Hamas. I'm Hamas, you're Hamas, everyone's Hamas, which is actually kind of funny because like when somebody pointed out to me, and I hadn't even thought about it when some lunatic Zionist was going after me, that like every person that I really loved and admired my whole life just happened to be Jewish people. Like the comedians that I loved were all Jewish people. My favorite comedian when I was growing up and like was Roseanne, which is kind of sad to say because Roseanne is a psycho. So I don't follow her on Twitter. I try not to like look at anything she does because it's just too disappointing, you know? Like we all have those people that have like a special place in our heart. I have like a special place in my heart for Roseanne because I grew up watching Roseanne when I was in a very, very dark depression, going through alcoholism and addiction. I would like wake up from my hangovers and I would just put Roseanne on and I would watch episode after episode after episode. And it was just so comforting to me and funny. And I always related to Roseanne because Roseanne was like, you know, the only show that was really on TV that talked about poor people and working class people and fat people. I loved, and what's funny, a lot of people who never watch Roseanne don't know this, but like, it's funny that she's like a psycho right-wing Zionist conspiracy theorist now, because when she had her show back in the 90s and late 80s, she was like super progressive and like ahead of her time. Like it's wild. She was like, she would do shows about like America's colonization of the Native American land and like queer people and talked about racism and anti-Blackness. Like she was very ahead of her time and talked about things on her show that like leftists didn't even start talking about until years later. And she was so funny. She was really funny. And I always felt like there weren't really that many funny women. So yeah, it's very unfortunate what happened to her. And it's crazy that she ended up becoming like a right-wing QAnon psychopath. And like a psychotic Zionist. So that's why I don't follow her on Twitter. I don't watch her. I don't watch anything she does because I think like everybody who has that like childhood memory of somebody that you kind of hold in your heart and you want to remember a certain way. I like to remember Roseanne as like the Roseanne from the show that I loved, that I grew up watching. So I don't want to watch like anything she does now. And same with like everyone else that like I ever admired and looked up to was like Jewish people. Like Bernie Sanders, the only politician I ever loved, donated to, volunteered for, Jewish. Bob Dylan, my favorite artist, my favorite musician of all time, was the person I first started like writing music because of, was Bob Dylan. So it's just funny. It's just funny when people are like, oh my gosh, have you ever even like thought about this? It's like, okay, bro. And by the way, that I only thought of this because somebody made the joke about dating a Jewish person and tokenizing them. And I never even thought about how much like Jewish culture and Jewish American culture had influenced me until somebody pointed that out. Because ever since I started speaking up for Palestine, I obviously never got called anti-Semitic ever in my life before this, before the whole, I started speaking up for Palestine. But once you start speaking up for Palestine, people start calling you anti-Semitic. And I just never thought about all the influences in my life that were Jewish people until like this whole thing started. And then everybody's like, something, everything I don't like is anti-Semitic, and something, everything I don't like is Hamas. Hamas. We get old and our radical spirit dies. I know. It's disappointing. Oh, I always hated Amy Schumer. She's just not funny. She's just not funny. Yeah, like if you're gonna be as obnoxious as Amy Schumer is, who's also like a Nepo baby because her family is like rich and was already in politics and media, you need to actually have a good sense of humor. All she does is talk about her vag, and that's supposed to be the joke. Like, I just can't. Like, people like that, like Amy Schumer or Sarah Silverman, where like their whole comedy is like talking about their period and their vag and poop. Make it stop. And stealing jokes. Yeah, Amy Schumer is a huge joke stealer. Yeah, I never thought she was funny either. Where, you know what I realized though, is that that's also a product of the time we're living in. There are still a lot of funny people, but they're on TikTok. Like network television, Hollywood movies, they don't want really funny people because it's too like advertiser threatening. Everybody is so scared about being like offensive to advertisers. So everything is so watered down because when you watch any comedy show, whether it's on Comedy Central or in a movie or on network television, it has to go through all these stages of approval. So if you have something funny, by the time it goes through its like 8th stage of approval, you've destroyed any of the jokes or like the funniness of it. Which is why I'm like, people are like, oh, people just aren't funny anymore. It's like, it's not that people aren't funny anymore. It's that most of the funny people who are unfiltered are like on social media. They're on X. They're on TikTok. There's actually a female comedian who I think is really funny. And she is on, in fact, I think she's Jewish. She's so funny. Her name is Kylie Brakeman. A lot of people don't know who she is because she's just like a local comedian, but she's really funny. And she's somebody who should be like a woman in comedy that people should, you know, pay attention to and actually like give. She should get jobs. Is she getting jobs? Like, I don't see mainstream media propping her up.
And that's why we've collaborated with the Coca-Cola knows that She Herstory was written by women girls, which is why now Diet Coke is called Emily. Bank of America believes that women, and that's why we've collaborated with the Smartless guys to put out a podcast in a frequency that only women can hear. If women were a car, Chevron would fuel the car where the women want to go. That's why today gasoline is pink. Kellogg's is proud to announce that Captain Crunch is a woman. Just today, though, we don't want to do that shit forever. Hello, we're Hillshire Farms, and for some reason, we're going with what if George Washington was a girl? Makes you think. We at Hilton believe that women deserve a break, which is why we fired all our female employees. Enjoy your day off, girl boss. Domino's loves mummies. That's why pizza in shape of bra today. Mountain Dew is a matriarchal paradise. That's why write the name of a woman who inspires you on the can, mail it to us, and then we'll put it on the Instagram. Welcome to Home Depot. We made a hammer that women can hold with their little hands. Uh-oh, Google had an idea. We're girl goal today.
She is very funny. She's very funny, but you don't see her getting propped up. I really like her. And then what would you call it? What would you call? Yeah, way too many musicians. Somebody brought musicians. Musicians are disgustingly silent on Palestine. They really are. We are not seeing nearly enough musicians talk about Gaza, talk about Palestine. It was like Macklemore came out with a song and like that was it. We are not seeing nearly enough musicians. It's gross. That's why you guys got to help me find a producer so I can release my Palestine song. No one else is going to do it. No one else is going to do it. No one else is doing it. Find me a producer. Send me your best producer, you guys. There is no way that there is not a producer somewhere in this chat that can help me bring this Palestine song to life. I know you're in there. Someone's got to speak about it. DJ Khaled, I know. You know what? I actually feel sorry for DJ Khaled's children because they're going to grow up with so much shame because he's been not only so silent, he only comes out and does social media to brag about how rich he is, as his people are starving. I don't talk about DJ Khaled that often because I really don't want to speak generally, like be too critical of Palestinians, whether they're in the diaspora or not, because I'm obviously not Palestinian and I care about what Palestinians think and hearing from them. But I'm speaking just from a human level of like seeing his posts and seeing how he hasn't said anything about Gaza, and then thinking about his kids. Like his kids are going to grow up and learn about their heritage and see how quiet he was. It's sad. Yeah, I do. I think it is valid to criticize him. I just don't really like to say that much, really, because I'm not Palestinian, and I think that Palestinians who have been speaking up about him should be the ones mostly talking about it. So I don't really talk about it. It doesn't mean I don't have an opinion, but I don't go out of my way to talk so much about it. Damn, Bam, if you're a producer, hit me up. Help me with my song. Help me with my song. Yeah, because the thing is that the system doesn't want actually funny people, okay? That's why Kylie Brakeman isn't more famous or doesn't have more, followers or whatever. Dan, you can DM me on Twitter, on X. It's the same handle. I'm also going to put my email, my work email, in my bio. Low Key has a song called Genocide Joe. Oh, somebody get me Low Key. Tell him to help me. Yeah, Sammy Obeid. I don't know how you say his last name. He's a comedian and he's also really funny. He was like a math teacher. But again, they don't want funny people, okay? They don't. That's why they propped up people like that really not funny guy. Oh, Dan, try. The reason why I say Twitter is because I've got way too many messages on Instagram and TikTok. I don't even look at them anymore. It's like overwhelming. It's like thousands. Maybe I can put my email right here and you can just email me. This is my work email. Tell me if you see it. It's I am Blakely, which is my same handle everywhere, at gmail.com. Weird that it's telling me I'm typing from Twitch. No, but do you guys remember when they propped up that I forget her name. Her name was like Sarah something, and all she did was TikToks where she would lip sync Trump. What was her name? I don't remember, but she wasn't funny. And I'm not saying this to like hate, but like she wasn't funny. All she did was lip sync Trump. She had no original comedy. And the mainstream media lost it over her. They loved her. They had her they gave her a Netflix special. They had her on all the like news shows. I was like, this is amazing. Sarah Cooper, thank you. That was her name. Thanks, Dan Bam. It won't take that long. I just need somebody to help me produce the song, basically, because I am not a producer. So I'll write it. I sing it, but some people are Logic X pros. All right, fam. I gotta go because it has been 2 hours of this stream and I gotta finish some shit. Thank you again. I thank you so much again for everybody who sent me super chats. And thank you for everybody who became members on YouTube. Thank you again, Saeed, for gifting all those memberships. Thank you for everyone who joined my Ko-Fi and became a member there or who donated to my Venmo. I love you all so much. I hope that you have a really good weekend. Don't let yourself be gaslit, whether by Blue Anon or AIPAC, Biden, or the Zionists. And yeah, rest and keep on keeping on. Don't let anybody lie to you. And remember that we must keep fighting for Palestine until they're free. I love you all.